Hello, everybody. This is JJ Hardy. I have Victory Leadership Coaching. I'm actually live streaming today to this is my leadership training for Friday. However, it's just going to be my daily live stream. I'm going to be talking about strategic thinking, and when I say strategic thinking, I'm specifically relating that to strategic thinking as a leader. There are many things that revolve around strategy. There's strategic planning. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but this is just the since I really specialize in helping first time leaders, I want to make sure that I talk about the basics of strategic thinking. So I'm going to break that down into three topics. I'm going to talk about that transition of the way you're supposed to think when you go from execution level employee to manager. I'm going to talk about the difference between your responsibilities from execution level employee to manager. And I'm going to end with, there's constantly problem solving and decision making and planning that has to happen. And those are all things that we're going to talk about today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So first, we're going to start with that transition from execution level employee to manager. So when you go from execution level employee to manager, the biggest shift is from what you're going to be doing every day. Now, instead of doing all of the work, you have to think about how you can support the other people that are doing all the work while still keeping all of those tasks that you need to know as an execution level employee in mind, so that you are sharp with that, so that you can help people and continuously teach, coach, and mentor. The biggest reason that there's a difficult transition for people in their mindset is because a lot of times they have friendships. Sometimes they have uh, just really, maybe they're not friendships, but they have really good relationships with those other execution level employees that may have already been on their team or were on other teams, but they were at that execution level. The mindset change that needs to take place when dealing with those people is that now, instead of doing the work, you are planning and designing the tasks so that you can delegate that work and make sure it's getting done efficiently, scattered throughout your entire team. And the most challenging part of that is that sometimes those other people that used to be your friend, right, in the workplace, they they might still think that because you're their friend that they get some kind of special treatment. And they it's not on purpose. Don't you can be upset with these people, but it doesn't do you any good. The thing you need to keep in mind is that you just need to have a conversation with them. And I've talked about this before, but having that conversation is just saying something as simple as, now I don't want to say that I'm in charge, but I have a different responsibility, and my responsibility is to the entire team, not just to my friends. So my job is to serve my team, not my own self-interests and not my friends' interests, but my job is to support the mission. So that's the first part of the mindset of that transition from execution level employee to manager. Now, I touched on it a little bit, but there's that responsibility piece. I talked about it, how it related to conversations and interactions with those employees that you may have worked with as friends before. Now I'm going to talk about the bigger picture. The difference between the two, the one doing the work and the manager, is that now instead of being responsible for getting the work done yourself and only having the tasks that you were assigned specifically when you were doing the work, now you have an overall task that you're in charge of getting done with a team attached to you. And the reason that that's significant is now you're not responsible for the work with your own hands. You're responsible to make sure your people are doing what they're supposed to be doing to get the job done. And that's also a mindset thing, because instead of being responsible for just yourself and the work that you are doing, now you're responsible for a team, and you are accountable for the work that they are doing. And that's not that sounds daunting probably to some people. But the thing you got to keep in mind with that is that if you have the mindset to serve these people and to make sure you are constantly doing everything you can to support them, then it's not a big deal. You're just checking in with them on a regular basis. If there's any training that needs to be done, you're squaring them away on that. And it's just a revolving door. You're teaching and coaching and mentoring. And then you got to do the stuff that you're accountable for at that higher level. Now, we'll talk about the really high level stuff. So, constantly planning and problem solving. When you are an execution level employee and you're only responsible for what you're doing and the minutia of the tasks that you're doing, not that any one person who is an execution level employee, I'm not minimizing what you do, but when you're a manager and you're responsible for an entire team, you're responsible for, and I've talked about this a lot, of seeing the next things that need to be done, and not just for yourself, but for your entire team. And then constantly making sure that you are communicating with your team, your peers, and your boss, and creating a support structure around you, and seeing how you can support the bigger part of the mission, so that you are constantly planning and creating strategy, not just for yourself, but for your team's position in the greater part of the mission. And when you support the bigger part of the mission, everyone's going to see that, and they're going to look at you as just, hey, that Joe Snuffy's a good guy. So now the problem solving part. The reason that it's important to make sure that you are sharp with what you're doing, I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, the reason that it's important to stay sharp with that is because with the jobs that you used to do as an execution level employee, and then also the jobs that the rest of your team has to do as well, is because if you ever need to jump in there and take over for them because they call in sick, or maybe not call in sick, but you might have to do a little bit of training, or maybe you have to, figure out who the best person is on the team to pair up with somebody that's having trouble, so that that person gets some extra love. Because as a manager, it is your responsibility to make sure that person's getting training, but you're not always going to have the time to dedicate to provide all of that training yourself. So knowing your team and figuring out who could best support that person that's having trouble, or having the relationship with other teams that might be able to support them with that task, and saying, hey, look, I know you have that guy over there that's really, really good at their job. Could that person jump over and help Joe Snuffy on my team, because he's struggling and he just needs a little extra love? Man, I got you if you need anything in the future. I just really need this help right now. And so when I talk about strategic thinking as a leader, there's a lot more to it than that. There's the problem solving skills and everything that go along with that, but it's that higher level thinking to constantly know what's going on around you, know what's coming up for you, and in addition to that, know what is your day-to-day stuff is and what's directly the next tasks for all of your employees. Because if you do all of that, I assure you that you will become successful in everything that you do, because you are that person that keeps their eyes and ears open all the time, asks questions, and that you're constantly looking at what's next so that you can provide that support system. And that's basically what strategic thinking is. It's a really high level conversation about it. I wish some people would have tuned on to my call today to be able to discuss that, but that's fine. I can just do a live stream on it real quick. That concludes what I'm doing today. If anybody has questions, make sure down in the comments below this video or wherever it's at, depending on what platform you're on, because I'm on, I think, 3 or 4 different platforms on StreamYard here. Make sure you leave comments. Have a conversation about strategic thinking and what that means to you. And my goodness, if you have any questions and you don't want to ask them in the chat, you can go to victoryleadershipcoaching.com, or on whatever platform you're on, minus YouTube. You can send me a direct message, an instant message, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. For little one or onesie twosie questions, I don't charge money for all that. I'm here to help people solve problems. So unless you need full training or full support, I'm here for you. So just hit me up. I got you. My name is JJ Hardy. I own Victory Leadership Coaching, and I hope you all have a great and blessed day and a wonderful weekend, because it's Friday. Don't forget to take a break. Have a good one.